Hello.
Yes, yes.
So now let's start with the NumPy. Okay, what is NumPy? So NumPy is basically numerical Python. Okay, numerical calculation array, numerical arrays. It's an array. Python package, yes, Python package is fine. Numerical Python, NumPy is numerical Python. So NumPy is an acronym for numerical Python, and it's a Python package, right? So what I can say, number one point, it is. Just give me a minute. So, do you guys have any idea that how list is stored into the memory or heap area, or why we use NumPy when we have list? Can anyone tell me why we use? So you have the access to the mic. Okay, I will give you guys one by one. Okay, one by one. Anyone who wants to speak can unmute yourself and can tell me why we use NumPy or array when we have list in Python. I think okay. Anyway, so let me start. So NumPy is the numerical Python, okay, and it is a Python package used for computation and processing of single dimension or multi-dimensional array elements. So basically, NumPy is what? So first of all, the full form of NumPy is, we say it is numerical Python. Okay, it is used for what? It is used for it is a Python package. We can say it is a Python package. Okay. It is a Python package. And number three, it is used for what purpose? It is used for computation and processing of single and multi-dimensional array element. Okay. So, okay. So this is the important part. When I'm saying computation and processing of single and multi-dimensional array element, why array? Okay, when we have the list, so what is the array? First of all, let's understand array. Array is a collection of homogeneous elements. Okay, array is a collection of homogeneous elements. When you say homogeneous element, it means what? It means it can have only one single type of element. Okay, and you have a list. There is a list data structure in Python. List is a collection of heterogeneous elements. When you say list is a collection of heterogeneous element, it means what? So if you say LSC is equal to 10, 10.20, 10 plus 20 j, let's say Python, we can have a list inside this. We can have a tuple inside this. Okay. So what you can see, you can have any kind of data inside the list, right? And the way it is stored, it takes much and more memory compared to an array. Okay, so when like with the smaller size of the array, you'll not be able to compare the memory, but when you take large array of large elements or huge amount of element, then you will say that list consumes more memory, and you don't have the much APIs using which you can do the processing on the array. Okay, where on the list, whereas when you take the array, using array, you can do the processing on each element of that array easily. For example, let's say if I have a list. Okay, so this is about the list. List is a collection of heterogeneous elements, whereas array is a collection of homogeneous elements. So for example, array is equal to, if you want to create an array, you can import NumPy as np, and you can write here np dot array. Here you can write 10, 20, 30, 40. Now if you'll write print array, what you will see, it is a array of numbers, integers, right? Let's say if you will keep only one value, which is float, 40.50, then rest all the values will be converted to float type. You can see this is 10 point, 20 point, 30 point. You kept only one value, 40.50, only last value as float value. All the rest of the values are converted to float type. Okay, fine. Okay, so what we can understand from here, that array, first of all, array is a collection of homogeneous element and list is a collection of heterogeneous element. So array can be used to store the data of the same type. For example, I'll give you an example of Excel sheet, right? So let's say in an Excel sheet, you have the name column, you have the ID column, you have the salary column, right? So you know the name column is always going to be string. You know that ID column is going to be the integer value, and you know that salary column is going to be a float value, right? So what you can do is you can define an array of string, because by default it is going to have only string data. An array is going to have only integer, or an array you can define of only integer, an array you can define only of the float value, and it can store salary. The integer array can store only ID, and string array can store only name. Okay. So what will happen in that case? So you can fix the size and you can fix the amount of memory an array is going to take, right? And in that case, since all the data are the string type, so if let's say you have 10 elements inside an array, okay, and all those 10 elements, you have 10 elements inside an array, and these 10 elements are what? These 10 elements are the name of the employee. So you know that if you are going to do one operation on one of these string value, that same operation is applicable on all the other element of that array, right? So processing becomes easier. For example, let's say if you will take this array, okay, you want to multiply each element of this array by 2. You want to multiply each element of this array by 2. So what you can do, array into 2, it will automatically do the multiplication by 2 for each element. Whereas in this case, when you do this way, so let's say if you have a list, okay, and here what you want to do, you want to multiply each element by 2, so you cannot do this way. If you'll be writing lst into 2, then it is going to repeat the list, right? So this is a different operation. For doing this, you have to write the loop. And remember, loop is always a costly operation in Python. You should avoid loop. When you are going to do the data analysis, if you can avoid the loop, you should do that. Try to avoid the loop as much as you can. Okay. NumPy arrays are faster and more compact than Python lists. Yes, an array consumes less memory and is convenient to use. Correct. NumPy uses much less memory to store data, and it provides a mechanism of specifying the data type. Good. Okay. So I hope now everyone is clear on this, that why we are using NumPy and why we are using array. Is it clear, guys? Am I audible to everyone? Okay, good. Okay, fine. So I hope you guys are clear that why we are using array. Okay. So first of all, this Python, for what purpose we are learning this NumPy, or for what purpose we are going to learn this pandas. These all are the data analysis libraries, right? So if you want to do the data analysis, these all are the best performing libraries. So why are the integers converted to float type and not the other way? Why? Because there is a concept of upcasting. Okay, there is a concept of upcasting. Okay, so let's say if all the elements are the integer type, then everything will remain the integer type. It is the lowest type, right? If any one value is float type, then everything will be converted to float type. Then you have the complex type. If any one value is complex type, then everything will be converted to complex type. And finally, if any one value is string type, so everything will be converted to string type. Okay, so it follows this order. So if everything is integer, then all the elements are integer type. If any one value becomes float, everything will become float type. If any one value becomes complex, everything will become complex type. And if any one value becomes string, everything will become string type. Okay, why? Because of the upcasting. Okay, fine, clear, Prawn? Okay, so now next what we have, so next topic we have is, let's see how we can create an array and what all the different operations we are having that we can perform on the array, right? So this first of all, let's see creation of the array. Creation of array, how we can create an array. So creation of array you can do in a multiple ways. First of all, we will see that how we can create a 1D array and using list. Okay, creation of array using list. Okay, let's say we have lst is equal to 10, 20, 30, 40. If you want to use the NumPy package, the first thing that you need to do is you need to import the NumPy. Without importing NumPy package, you cannot use it. You cannot do any operation on the array. Okay, so we will be importing the NumPy first. Let me import the NumPy here. Import NumPy as np. Next, we are going to create an array. So we'll be writing array is equal to np dot array, and here we'll be passing the list, right? LST. Now, if you will be printing array, this is going to give you that it is an array type. If you want to check the type of this, So you have the type function. This gives you that it is a numpy.nd array. What does it mean? Numpy.nd array mean it is a nd means multi-dimensional array. Okay, so array by default, like you have a 1D array, 2D array and all, but by default every array type is a nd array type. Okay, so even if you have 1D array or 2D array, does not matter, you are going to always get the result as it is an nd array. Okay, fine. Next, what we have, let's say if you want to check the Colab is you can say cloud-based solution, Ananya. Colab is the cloud-based solution, so you can access it from anywhere. Whereas this one, you need to have your laptop. So let's say on this laptop, if you have written the code in the Jupyter Notebook, next time if you want to access these files, you have to get this laptop only. Whereas Colab, you can log in into your account and from anywhere you can take the help of those files. Okay. Yes, yes. So this is nd array. If you want to get the dimension, Bhagyasri, so you have the function called array.ndim. Okay, this is going to give you that it is a one dimensional array. So ndim is going to give you that it is one dimensional array. What is the use of numpy? So using numpy, we do the array related operation. Okay, Abhishek, using numpy we do the array related operation. Why we need the array? Because see, we have the other data structures like array, we have the list data structures. Okay, but we don't use list because lists are costly and it is not memory efficient. We don't have much operations, or we don't have efficient operations to do on the list. Okay, whereas in the array you have efficient set of operations. You can store it, takes less amount of memory to store the array. These all are the advantages of the array. That's why we use numpy array to do the array manipulation. Using array manipulation, you can analyze the data. Okay. Yes, numpy is used for array operation. Exactly. So see, actually, almost all the data, why array? Then actually the question should be why array then? Why array? Numpy is used for doing the array related operation. That is fine. But why array related operation, or why we are learning about array? That is the main question. So we are learning about array because almost all the data around you, whatever data you have, whether it is image data, whether it is video data, whether it is audio data, or whether it is tabular data, textual data, any data you have, almost all data can be converted into the array of numbers. Each data you can convert into the array of numbers, and doing that, since you can convert each data or every kind of data into the array of numbers, so array related operation is important, isn't it? Right, so it means if you can do the operations on those array, it means you can manipulate that data, right? Is that clear, Abhishek? So now next what we have, so we have the function. So first of all, we are going to learn about few basic things about the arrays, and then we will be coming to the functions. Okay, and the methods available on the array. So we have array.ndim. Okay, array.ndim is going to give you the number of dimension. As of now, it is one dimensional array, so it is giving you one dimensional array means it is neither having rows nor having columns. So it is just having the number of elements. So if you'll be writing array dot shape, it is going to give you that it is having 4 comma. It means so whenever you write shape, and if you get the values into this format 4 comma, you can understand it is a one dimensional array, where the first value represents the number of elements inside the array. And if you be writing array dot size, it is going to give you that how many elements you have inside the array. Now this will be little bit clear. Let me create a 2D array. Okay, creating a 2D array. How we can create a 2D array? So let's say if I'll be writing array1 is equal to np dot array, and here we are going to write so now let's print array1, execute it. What we have a 2D array. So now let's say if you'll be checking the type of this. Okay, let's first check the type of this. Still it is going to give you it is nd array. Okay, so whenever you check the type, it always gives you that it is a nd array. Nd array means numpy deal with the multi-dimensional array. That's why it gives you the ND array. But if you want to check the dimension of the array, you can write array1 dot ndim. It is going to give you, it is a two-dimensional array. Here what you are getting, it is a one-dimensional array. Two-dimensional array means you have rows and you have columns, right? Correct. Whereas in this case, you neither have rows nor have column. You just have 4 elements inside this array. Okay. Now, next you have, if you want to check the shape, so you can write here array dot shape, and this is going to give you, this shape is 2 rows and 3 columns, isn't it? So this is 2 rows, 1 row and 2 row and 3 columns, right, inside this array. Clear? And next, if you want to find the size, so array1 dot size, it is going to give you the number of elements inside the array. So 2 into 3, 6. 6 is the number of elements inside the array. Clear? Fine, everyone. So what we can see from these two examples, that we have created one 1D array, we have created one 2D array. Can we say that NumPy is same as STL in C++? Yes, understood. Okay, okay. Clear, everyone? So now we have seen that how we can create a multi-dimensional array. Let's see how we can create the arrays using the different other function. We have many other functions using which we can create the array. So let's see what all functions we have. So we can create the array using arange function. Okay. So for example, let's say if you want to create the array2 is equal to np.arange, and here we will be writing arange is similar or it is equivalent to you can say range function. You guys know about range function: start, stop, and step. Okay, start, stop, and step. So range function is a function in Python which generates a sequence of number from start value to stop value, where stop value is exclusive and by this step size. Okay, what exactly it is? So arange function is also same. So here you have to write start, here you have to write stop, and here you have to write step. For inputting a number in array from user. Inputting a number in array from user. I don't understand your question, Saurav. See, what we have seen here is if you want to create an array, okay, so you can take a list of numbers, you can take a tuple of numbers, and you can pass it to the array function. It will be creating the array. Now, what is your question? I don't understand. Please explain it. Then probably I'll be able to explain what you are asking. Okay. So np.arange. np.arange. Yes. So np.arange. Let's say if you want to create an array of in a specific range of values. For example, let's say if you are writing 1, 11, 1. So what does it mean? It means it is going to create an array of numbers starting from 1 till 11, where step size will be 1. Yeah, so that is fine. You can take a list from the user, no? You can take a list or you can take a tuple from the user and you can pass that to the array function. Okay, or you can take the array also from the user. I will tell you how you can do that later. Okay, fine. So as of now, arange function. Okay, using arange function, we can create an array of numbers starting from 1 to 11. So here I have given 1 to 11. Start value is 1, stop value is 11, and step size is 1. What does it mean? It means it is going to create an array starting from 1, going till 11, means 1 to 10. These 10 values will be created and step size will be 1. Means, so if you print array 2, this is going to give you an array of 1 to 10, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 till 10. Remember, whatever stop value you will mention, it is not included into the result. Stop value is not included into the result. Okay, fine. So if you will write 11, it will be generating a number till 11 minus 1, 10. If you will write 21, it will be generating the number till 21 minus 1, that is 20. Okay, so let's say if you will be creating an array, array3 is equal to np.arange. If I'm writing 21, 25, so what it will do? What is step? Step size is basically it is taking each element, right? After 1, it is taking this step size is 1. Means after 1, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 1, 4, 4 plus 1, 5. So that is the step size between each element. Okay, fine. By default, it is 1. By default, it is 1. If you will not give this, still it is considered as 1. Okay. So 21 to 25, what will be the output of array 2? Print array 3. What will be the result of array 3? 21 to 24. It will be creating an array from 21 to 24. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is the array 3 we have created. Now, let's say if we want to create an array, so here what we are giving, you can give the step size. Let's say if you want to generate the sequence of number in the reverse direction. Here, as of now, if you will take this step value as positive, remember, if step value is positive, okay, if you will take this step value as positive, then numbers will be generated from left to right direction. Okay, and if step value is negative, if step value is negative, the numbers will be generated from right to left direction. Okay, for example, let's say if you will be writing array 4 is equal to np dot arrange, and here I am going to write plus 10 to minus 10 comma minus 2. Now what does it mean? It means it is going to generate a sequence from plus 10 to minus 10. Plus 10 is inclusive, minus 10 is exclusive. It is not included into the result, and it will take every second number, or the gap between two numbers is 2, right? Now, in this case, it is generating the number from right hand side to the left hand side, right? Because 10 is on the right hand side and minus 10 is on the left hand side. So if you will be printing array 4, it is going to generate the sequence of number from 8 to minus 8, 10 to minus 8. Clear? Fine. So if you will see this here, let's say if you will write here minus 10, minus 10 is on the left hand side. If you know the number line, so minus 10, then you have 0. And then again, you have plus 10 on the right hand side, right? So this is from left to right. If you want to generate the sequence of number from left to right, your steps should be what? Your steps should be positive. If you want to generate the number in this direction, right? From left to right. So your step should be what? Step should be positive, right? And step should be negative if you want to generate the sequence of numbers from right to left. Okay, in this direction means, let's say for example, plus 10 to minus 10, something like that. So in this direction, step should be negative. I have taken step as negative. I hope this part is clear to everyone. Any question? Okay, so using arrange function, you can create an array. Now, similarly, you have another function that is called the linspace function. Using linspace function, you give start, you give stop value, and you give the number of elements you want in the array. For example, if you write array 5 is equal to np dot linspace, okay, np dot linspace. Here you will be giving the start value. Let's say I want to create a sequence of numbers from 10 to let's say 20. But how many elements you want inside this? I want, let's say, 10 elements. Okay. So if you will be executing and writing array 5, so let's see what it gives. It gives you this 10 element it gives you. If you'll be writing 11 elements, this is going to give you this value. Okay. So what you can understand from this, see, first of all, in the case of linspace function, start and stop both are inclusive. In the case of arrange function, stop was not inclusive, right? Stop was not, you are not getting this stop value into the result. But in linspace function, stop value is inclusive, you will be getting it inside the result. And second is the step size. You don't provide the step size, rather than that, you provide the number of elements inside the array. How many number of elements you want inside the array, that you provide in this. Okay. So if you want, let's say 11 elements inside the array, if you want total 11 elements inside the array, so you have given 11 and it is giving you the, automatically it will take the step size. It will automatically take the step size. And similarly, let's say if you want the larger values, let's say if you want 100 values, between this range you want 100 values, right? So you can write 100, it will be giving you an array of 100 elements between this range 10 to 20. You can see automatically it has taken this step size. 20 is included here, no? 20 is included in this. In the case of linspace function, last value, stop value is inclusive, but in the case of arange function, it is not inclusive. Okay, is that clear, everyone? Any question? Okay, so we have seen the linspace function. Now let's see, there are few more function using which. So I think if you guys are from college or you guys are still doing your graduation, will the result be the same every time? Yeah, if you execute with the same step size, same values, then the result will be same every time until and unless you are changing it. Okay, fine. Some value if you'll change, then it will change. Okay. Now, so you guys might have done a lot of matrix related operation, right? So whatever students you are, doesn't matter. But the main thing is, you probably you have done. So even those who have graduated, you guys have learned about the matrix in your graduation, right? Matrix related operations. So in Python, like array is nothing but in array, sometimes we say that is the matrix. Okay, we consider it as a matrix. So we can create those matrix, or we can do those matrix related operation on the array easily. Okay, that's why NumPy is used by the scientists to do the mathematical calculations a lot. Okay, by the scientists and researchers, this NumPy package and SciPy package are used to do the mathematical calculations. Okay, so we can use NumPy for doing the matrix related operation. So NumPy supports the creation of the different kind of matrices. For example, you might have heard of identity matrix, right? Identity matrix, correct? So how you can create the identity matrix? Only once in the diagonal, and shape, number of rows and columns will be same, right? Clear? So if I will talk about the identity matrix, so you can see this is the identity matrix, right? So you have here 2 rows and 2 columns, only the diagonal elements are 1. 3 rows and 3 columns, diagonal elements are 1. 4 rows and 4 columns, diagonal elements are 1. 5 rows and 5 columns, diagonal elements are 1. So what you can see, rest all elements are 0, only these diagonal elements are 1, and the number of rows and columns are same, right? Okay. So with this, you can create an identity matrix using the function. So let's say if you will be writing array1 is equal to np.I, and here we can write, let's say we know that number of rows and elements going to be same, so right, I'll be writing 3. Now printing array1 is going to give me array, okay, and here we are getting 1 1 1 diagonally, right, and we are getting a 3 cross 3 identity matrix, right? Okay, similarly if you want to create an identity matrix of 5 rows and 5 columns, then you can write here just 5, one single 5 value. Okay, it will be creating an array of 5 rows and 5 columns, right? So you can easily create the identity matrix, and if you want to do some matrix related operation on an array, you can do it easily using the NumPy. There is also concept of zeros matrix, right? Correct. So for example, let's say if you want to create an array where all the elements are zeros, so you can write array1 is equal to I is a method. I is a method in NumPy. Okay, EYE is a method which creates the identity matrix. Okay, np dot zeros, using zeros you can create an array of zeros where all the elements will be 0. But remember, in this case you have to pass the number of rows and columns. For example, the array of zeros may be of any shape. It may be of same shape, same row, same column, or it may be of different rows and different columns, right? So let's say if I want to create a array of zeros, we have 3 rows and 4 columns, right? So let's see, print array1, execute it. What we are getting? We are getting 3 rows and 4 columns. Okay, where all the elements are 0. Now let's say if you want all the array of all 5, then you can probably add 5 here. All the elements will be added with 5 value. Okay. Similarly, you have array of ones. If you want to create an array of ones, you can simply write here ones, and here you have ONES, right? You can mention the shape here accordingly, 3 plus 4. So you have this. After adding 5, it is giving you 6, but if you'll be writing only array1, it is going to give you array of 1, right? So this is what basically, this is the simple array creation. And now we are having a little bit of introduction about NumPy, that what you can do with the NumPy, and we can basically, we are going to deal with the array using NumPy, right? Now, where to use a square bracket? So you will be using this square bracket wherever you have the concept of list, or wherever you are going to do the indexing or slicing operation. When you call any method, then you give this small bracket. Okay. The shortcut key to run a cell is just press Control Enter or Shift Enter. Okay. Okay. So we have seen that how we can create an array. Now let's see how we can reshape an array. Okay. Let's say if you have a 1D matrix, okay, and you want to create a 2D matrix out of it, how we can do that? Creating a 2D matrix out of 1D matrix, how we can do that? So let's say we have array1 is equal to np dot arrange. Here we'll be passing 49. Array1 plus 5, we have added 5. You can add 50. Add 50 here. Okay. So each element is 0. So you are adding 50. So 50 is added to each element and the result will be 50 everywhere. Okay. np dot arrange. np dot arrange is what? Let's say if you want to create an array of, let's say we will be giving 10 comma 20. Not arrange, I'll be using, let me use linspace function. Okay. I'll be using, let's say, let me use arrange. So 10 to let me use 25 comma 61. Okay. Now let's print array1. How many elements we have? So if you want to count the number of elements, you can just use your len function. Okay. This is going to give you, there are total 36 elements. Now what I want to do is I want to reshape it into a different matrix. Okay. Means reshape it into a 2D matrix. Okay. Reshaping array1 in 2D matrix. Okay. So I can easily do this using the reshape function. So I can write here array1 dot reshape. Okay. Reshape is a method which you can use on the array. And in this case, let's say you have 36 element, right? So I want to reshape it into a array of 6 rows and 6 columns. So I'll be passing 6 comma 6. I will be passing 6 comma 6. Okay. Now execute it. So this is going to create a 2D matrix of 6 rows and 6 columns. Okay. So reshape is a method. Now remember, when you are going to reshape it using reshape method, one thing you should take care that the number of element inside the array and the product of rows and columns should be same. For example, let's say number of element inside this array is what? 36. If you will write here 6 comma 7, so the product of rows and columns will be what? 42, right? When you will execute it, it is going to give you the error. Cannot reshape array of size 36 into shape 6 comma 7, right? Not possible, right? You have 36 element and you want to create an array of 42 elements, right? It is not possible. If you will be taking less element also, so you have 36 element, you want to create an array of 24 element, but it is not possible, right? You have to, if you want to reshape all the arrays or all the elements of the array, okay? Not a part of the array. Clear? Yes, you can use 6 comma 4, you can use 9 comma 4, sorry, 6 comma 6, you can use 9 comma 4, you can use 4 comma 9, you can use 3 comma 12, you can use 12 comma 3, you can use 2 comma 18, you can use 18 comma 2. Okay. So we are not going to discuss all of them. I have just given you a formula, right? So understand the concept that the product of rows and columns and the number of elements inside the column should be same. Now you pass anything value, any value, 9 comma 4, 2 comma 18, 18 comma 2, whatever. Yes. So both should be the factor of 36. Okay. Fine. Okay. Now next, what element we are going to have? Sorry, what operation we are going to see is the this reshape function. Let's say you have array1. Okay. This is the array1. Remember, this reshape function does not make any changes existing array object. It does not make any changes to the existing array object. Okay. So if you will be executing it, so this is the array1 where you have 36 element, right? See, you have done the reshape on array1, but it is not making any changes to array 1. Actually, it creates a new array object. So if you'll be writing array 2 is equal to this, and if you'll be printing array 2, you will see that. So let me write here 6 comma 6. You'll see that array 2 is a new array. Okay. Array 2 is a new array with 6 rows and 6 columns, and array 1 is as it is. There is no change in array 1. Clear? Fine. Now, so let's say if you want to reshape this array, you can do it in another way. So can anyone tell me array dot shape what it gives? Array dot shape what it gives? Rows and columns, number of rows and columns, right? So when you will execute it, you are going to give that 36 comma, means it is a 1D array and there are total 36 elements. Yes, you'll be getting the recorded videos. Okay. Now, so let's say if you want to reshape it, you can directly pass the value of the shape. Okay. You can pass the values of the shape. For example, let's say I want to reshape it into 9 rows and 4 columns. So I'll be writing 9 4. Okay. Now if I'll be, now this shape attribute, this is the attribute. This is going to make the changes to the existing array. So execute it, and after this print array 1, you'll see that the changes are made to the array 1. It is not going to create any new array. So shape attribute makes the changes to existing array object. Clear everyone? Fine. So you can see that when you are doing reshape, it is creating a new array object, whereas in the case of shape attribute, it is making the changes to the same array object, right? Clear? So this part is clear. Now one more small concept. Let's say if you'll be writing array 1, you have array 1. So what this array 1 is going to give, so we have created another array. Let me write array 9. Okay, we have taken 25 to 61, execute it. We have created one 1D array where we have the 36 elements. Good. Now if I'll be writing array 1 dot reshape, okay, so you guys tell me, let's say if I'll be writing 4 comma 7, what I will get as the output? What changes I'll get it, or what array I'll get it, what output I'll get? Error, right? It is not possible. So if I'll be writing 4 comma 9, I'll be getting the output, right? It means I want 4 rows and 9 columns, right? So what I can do here is, let's say if I'll be writing -1, then if I'll write -1, then is it error? Okay, let's see that. Execute this, we are not going to get any error. I'm executing this, I'm not going to get any error. Why? Forget it. Just mention here 9 comma -1. Execute it. You are getting no error. 9 rows or 4 columns. Why? Why? Because see, when you want to reshape the array, so the formula says as either row or column can be a negative value. Okay. While reshaping, either row or column can be a negative value. Okay. And NumPy will take that value automatically from other dimension. Other dimension is row is one dimension, column is one dimension. So one value you have to pass, either row or column you have to pass, and the other value should be negative. It can be any negative value. You can pass 10. Fine. So if the value which you are passing it as a negative, it will be so Python will understand that okay, you want 9 rows. So in that case, how many columns we can have? If you have 36 element and you want 9 rows, then automatically it will be creating 4 columns. Okay. Remember, this one value should be the factor of, no, you cannot have both the values negative. Note. I know that these things will come into your mind. Note. both value cannot be negative. Okay, this is strict notice. Okay, one more thing, that this value, the other value, the non-negative value should be a factor of the non-negative value should be a factor of total number of elements. Okay, fine. You can write anything. 2, then you will be writing, so 18, 2 rows and 18 columns. You write 18 here, so 18 rows, 2 columns. And not only this, you can replace it, so you can write print array1 dot reshape, and here you can write -9 comma let's say 6, so 6 rows and 6 columns. Okay, fine. If you'll be writing here 9, so 4 rows and 9 columns. Clear? Fine, everyone. Any questions? Okay, so now we have seen that how we can reshape an array. One more thing, that let's say if you have an array, so this is the reshape. You can same thing you can do using the shape attribute also. Okay, so you can use here, let's say array1 array1 dot shape attribute, and you can write here 9 comma -1, same thing. Okay, so if you will print array1 after this, it is going to give you 9 rows and 4 columns. Okay, so you can do it with the shape attribute also. Someone asked me that what if I want to revert the changes. So I have converted array1, so array1 has been converted to 9 rows and 4 columns, right? If I want to flatten the array, I want to get a one dimensional array. Okay, getting one dimensional array, getting a 1D array from multi-dimensional array. How we can do that? So we can flatten the array. We can write here print array1 dot ravel function. Okay, execute it. You are getting the 1D array, right? So you have flattened the array. Clear, everyone? Any question? Okay. So now next, let's see transpose. You guys know transpose? What is transpose of a matrix? Transpose, right? You guys know about transpose. Okay, so let's say this is the transpose. Okay, so this is the array 9. I'm going to convert this array 9 into the here only I'll be converting, so reshape, and I'll be converting 6 comma 6. Okay, so let's print array 9. What is array 9? So we have 6 rows and 6 columns, right? Row into column, column into rows, right? So if you want to convert the if you want to do the transpose of an array, you can simply do array 9 or array dot t. It will be converting rows to column and column to rows. So this is array 9, and array 9 dot t is going to transpose the matrix. Okay, you can see this row has been converted to column. Clear? Fine, everyone. Any question? So these all are the different ways you can reshape an array. I hope this part is clear to everyone. We are going to the next topic. Okay, so now next let's come to the doing the different set of operation on the array. See, that was the Sindhuri, that was the continuation of the old webinar. So this is also continuation of it. Okay, so in the old webinar we have covered the basic. Okay, and yes, few concepts of Python or file handling is pending. So I will keep on conducting those. So NumPy is nowhere it is related to the previous classes. Okay, it is nowhere related to those classes. So I'll be coming up with those webinar also. Okay, you will be getting those webinars on the functions, file handling, and other topics. Okay, so actually we have received the request for these classes, NumPy and Panda, from the last one. So that's why I have thought of, let's start with this. What is it mandatory to write import NumPy for every program or not? It is important, and you have to do it once in the beginning, not every time. Okay, You have to do it once, not every time, and you have to import NumPy. Then see, everywhere you are using NP, isn't it? You see that you are using NP. Where you are using NP from? So that is where you have imported. Yes, it is available on our YouTube channel, as well as it is available. So you can go to our YouTube channel, or you can like our LinkedIn page or follow our LinkedIn page. There you will be getting all the updates. See, most of the updates you'll be getting on LinkedIn page and YouTube channel. So these two things you can. So YouTube channel also, there is one thing. There are two channels of LearnBay. So go to this channel, LearnBay Data Science and AI. This is the channel. Okay, and here you can subscribe to this channel. In the playlist you can go here, and there are the recordings of this webinar. Okay, introduction to the programming and all, and these all are few Python videos which you can get. These all are my class recordings only. You can get all the recordings here. Okay, I keep on updating the videos. I'm making the Python videos. I'm making Django videos. So those all videos will be updated here. So if you will subscribe to this channel, you will be getting the regular notification for the videos which I'm uploading here. Okay, fine. Okay, so now where I was, transpose of a matrix. Transpose of a matrix, basically it converts the rows to column and columns to rows, right? So what you can see, this is the row, right? So when you are printing array 9, this is the rows, 25 to 30, then 31 to 36, 37 to 42, 43 to 48, 49 to 54, and 55 to 60, right? You can see this has been converted to the column. So this row is converted to column. This row 31 to 36 is converted to column. This row is converted to column. This is what the transpose. Okay, we use it in the mathematical calculation. See, first of all, these things we are learning. Why? Because these all are important from the NumPy perspective. It is important. You should know when you are learning about NumPy. So these things are the easy things. When you just apply it, you learn something. Okay, so that gives you the confidence. There are a lot of other things that you can do with the NumPy. We will be coming to that in class. Will be doing that. Okay, so we'll starting with the NumPy. Just understand this, and rest all will be coming up with the other topics. How to replace them? Sir, can you give this Jupyter file related to this class? Yes, it will be uploaded, or it will be updated into the in the LinkedIn. Okay. How to replace number? We will see. We will see. Sakti, we will see how we can replace the number. Okay. So next we are going to start with some basic operation. Let's see what all basic operations we can perform. So whenever basic operation means some mathematical operations or some comparison operation will be performing, and then we will see the dot product or the vector product on the array. Then we will be performing some unary operations like finding the maximum or minimum values along the rows and along the column, and then we'll be coming to the indexing and slicing operation. Okay, so let's see. First of all, I'll be creating one array, and array one. So first I'm going to perform these operations on 1D array. Okay, so let me write here array one is equal to np dot array, and here we are going to write 10, 20, 30, 40. Array 2 is equal to np dot array, and 11, 22, 33, 44. Okay, now, so what operation we are going to perform here? We are going to write here print array 1 plus array 2, execute this. So we have done the addition operation. Now this addition operation is done element by element. So 10 and 11 will be added, 20 and 22 will be added, 30 and 33 will be added. Those who have attended my basic classes, you guys have seen that in the case of list, let's say you have two lists, lst1 is equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, right? And you have lst2 is equal to 11, 22, 33, and 44. So now if you'll perform lst1 plus lst2, this is going to do the concatenation operation between these two lists. Whereas in this case, array 1 plus array 2, when you do, so this does the element by element operation, right? In this case, the shape of both the arrays should be same. If it is different, then it is not going to perform this operation. We will come to the concept of broadcasting, where we'll see that how array of different shape can be added or multiplied together. But as of now, we will take the array of the same shape and the same size. Okay, fine. So we have taken two arrays, and you can see that when you can perform the addition operation, it is going to add the arrays element wise. You can add the arrays, or you can multiply. When you will be doing the multiplication of the arrays, it is going to do the element by element multiplication. Let's say if you will be doing the division of the array, let's say array 2 by array 1, and if you'll write here single slash, it is going to divide this array 2 by array 1. Yes, I'll be coming to that. I'll be coming to that. Yes, you'll be getting the certificate after attending this webinar. Okay. So this is array 2 by array 1, and similarly, so all the mathematical operations you can perform here, you will be writing double slash, and then you will be writing percentile. Okay. So when you write percentile, this gives you the remainder in every case. Correct. So these are the basic mathematical operations which you can perform on the array. This is the normal multiplication. You can do the subtraction also. You can do that. I'll be coming to something which is called the vector product. Okay, what is vector product? So product are of two types. Okay, one is scalar product. So this product is called the scalar product. Okay, scalar product. Okay, in this case, what happens? It will be doing the element by element multiplication. But to do the vector product, number of column in first array and number of rows in second array should be same. Okay, then only you can do this vector product. So let's say if you have these two arrays, array 1 is equal to np dot arrange. I'll be writing here 25 comma 61, right, dot reshape. We have 6 comma 6. Now let's print array 1. This is 6 rows and 6 columns array, right? Now let me write here array 2 is equal to np dot arrange, and here we will be writing 35 comma 71 dot reshape. Okay, 6 comma 6 again. Let me print array 2. What we are getting? We are getting two arrays of this array is of 6 rows and 6 columns. This array also of 6 rows and 6 columns. No, let me take a different shape. So instead of this, let me take 45. So 5 rows and 4 columns. And here I'll be taking 35 to 55 and 4 rows and 5 columns. Okay. 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 What we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Total 5 rows and 4 columns, right? Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows and 5 columns. Correct. Okay. Now, when you will do the scalar product, if you'll be writing array 1 into array 2, this is going to give me the error. Why? Operands could not be broadcasted together. It means, see, when you will do the element by element multiplication, so 25 can be multiplied by 35, 36 by 36, 27 by 37, 28 by 38, but you don't have anything to multiply this 39 with any other element. And similarly, you don't have any other value to multiply with this row, right? So it is not possible. Scalar product of the arrays of different shape, it is not possible. So what we are going to do, we will be doing here vector product. What is vector product? So let's say you have to do the vector product, we'll be using np dot dot, and we'll be passing the two arrays, array 1 comma array 2. Okay, execute this. This is going to give you the vector product. How this vector product is done? So first row will be multiplied. First row of the first array will be multiplied by the first column of the second array, element by element. So 25 will be multiplied by 35, 26 by 40, 27 by 45, 28 by 50. After doing this multiplication, all these values will be added together to give the first element. Then first row will be multiplied with the second column. So 25 by 36, 26 by 41, 27 by 46, and 28 by 51. After multiplying all these elements, so the values will be added to give you the second element 4636. Then first row will be multiplied by third row. So 25 by 37, 26 by 42, 37 by 47, and 28 by 52. After multiplying, all these values will be added to give you the third value 4742. So this way, and so on. So by this, when all the columns will be multiplied, you'll be getting first row. Then you'll be taking the second row. Then second row will be multiplied by first column, second column, third column, fourth column, fifth column to give you all these values inside this row, and so on. So this will continue till you get all the elements, and finally you will be getting a array of matrix multiplication rule. What is dot dot? Dot is see, you have a function for everything, right? To do the vector product, we have the dot method to do this vector product. That is available in NP. Okay. Yes. Clear. It is vector product. Fine. So you don't have to do this manually for this thing. See, these things we are not going to use. See, we are going to do the data analysis. For our purpose, the use of the NumPy array will be mainly towards concatenation or repetition of the array, or you can say concatenation of the array, or merging of the array, or you can say indexing and slicing of the array. Our use will be mostly restricted to these operations. When it comes to these kind of operation, mathematical operation, that is done by the scientists or researchers, okay, or mathematicians, those who have to do the mathematical calculations and all. They will be using these all features. We should know, because yes, in some cases might be useful, so you will be able to use it, okay, but will not be using them quite regularly. Okay, so this is about the mathematical operations we have seen. Next we have some other operation. Let's say what happens if you apply the comparison operation. Okay, if you apply the comparison operation, so if you'll be writing, let's say, print array1, okay, greater than, let me do one thing. If I'll be printing array1, what it is giving? Printing array1 is giving you these elements, right? What I want here is, I want this array to be arranged in a random order. Means it is fixed, right? So 25 to 28, 29 to 32, 33 to 36, and so on. I want this array to be arranged in a random order. So let me write here import random. Okay. Then we will be writing here random dot sorry, not random. We don't need this. We'll be writing np dot random dot shuffle. Okay, we'll be writing array1. Now let's print array1 again. So you see, now this array is shuffled. We don't have in a sorted order, right? So it is shuffled now. Now what we will be doing here is, I will be applying the comparison array. So array1, let's say I'll be writing greater than 35. I want to check which all values are greater than 35. So when you apply the operator, if you guys know, so this comparison operator gives you the Boolean value, true or false. If this comparison operator is applied, and if the value is greater than, or if this condition is true, then gives you true. If this condition is false, gives you false. So when you do this operation, it will be checking each element whether it is greater than 35 or not. Wherever you have the element where the element is greater than 35, it will return true. What we have done, we have applied the comparison operation here, and what we can see here is array1 greater than 35, comparing whether each element is greater than 35 or not. If each element is greater than 35, then it is giving us true, otherwise it will give you false. So you can see these all elements are greater than 35. This element is greater than 35, so it is giving us true, rest all values are false. Is that clear, everyone? So similarly, you can apply the other comparison operations also. For example, array1 greater than or equal to 35, or array1 less than 35. So wherever this condition is satisfied, this will be giving you true, otherwise the result will be giving you false. We use this operation, so just you are checking this. So these operations gives you an idea, right? So if you want to see, let's say if you want to compare the value, okay, so this I will show you the use of this into the pandas operation. So it can be used while doing the filtering. Okay, we use this operation to filter the data. Let's say you have a data where you have the population of the different countries. So you want to consider, or let's say if you have the data of the different employees, and you want the details of only those employees where the age of the employee is more than 50. Okay, the age of the employee is more than 50. You want the details of only those employees. So you can use these operations in those cases. Okay. Can we compare two arrays? Yes, we can compare two arrays. For example, let's say you have array 1 and you have array 2 here, right? So if you'll be writing array 1 greater than array 2, if you'll be writing here array 1 greater than array 2, so executing this, it is going to, okay, so the shape is different. You have to take the array 2 of the same shape. So array 1 is what? 5 rows and 4 column, right? So let me write here dot reshape 5 rows comma 4 column. Execute it. Now you are getting it, right? So whichever value in the array 1 is greater than array 2, it will be giving you true for that, and whichever is less than, it will be giving you false for that. Okay. So now let's start. Okay, so this is the comparison operation. Next, we have few more operations. So for example, let's say we have the unary operations, right? So for example, let's say if you want to find the sum of all the element inside the array 1, okay, so you can use np dot sum of array 1. This is going to give the sum of all the elements inside the array 1. If you want to find the maximum value inside the array 1, so maximum of array 1. If you want to find np dot min of array 1, I will give you the example, Yashwant. I'll give you the example later of the real world example of this operation, the one which you're asking. Okay, array 1 numpy 1 dot min array 1. Okay, so this is giving you the minimum values. Okay, there are few more functions. These all are the method. These all are not the attribute. These all are the method. Okay, fine. This sum, max, min, these all are the attributes, sorry, methods, and these all are the you can say these all are the operators. Okay. Okay, next we have the sum of the array of all the elements, sorry, sum of the all the elements inside the array along the rows or along the column. Okay, sum of all elements along rows or sorry, so let me write along rows. So you have array 1. What is array 1? This one. I want to find the sum, np dot sum of array 1. When you will do this, you will be getting the sum of all the elements. So whatever elements you have inside the array 1, you are getting the sum of all the elements. So all these elements are added and you are getting one single result. What I want to add the sum along the rows or along the column. So to do the along the rows, you will be writing axis is equal to 0. This gives you the sum of all the elements along the rows. And if you want to do it along the columns, then you can do here columns. You can do here axis is equal to 1. This will be giving you the sum of all the elements along the columns. Right? Clear, everyone? So axis is equal to 0 means it is row. Axis is equal to 1 means along columns in 2D matrix. Okay. Fine, everyone. Similarly, if you want to find the maximum or minimum values along the rows or along the columns, you can use the axis 0 or axis 1 with the max or min function. Okay. So the axis attribute we have, which we can pass to find the maximum values or minimum values or the sum values along the rows or along the columns. Okay. So this is the basic operations that we have seen. Now let's come to the indexing and slicing operation. Okay. Indexing and slicing operation on the array. Indexing and slicing operation, rows and column at same time. Rows and column at same time, how you can do that? No. At the same time means you want to find the sum along the rows and then you want to find the sum along the column. You can pass only one attribute. Axis is equal to either 0 or 1. You cannot pass both. Okay. And when you will try to do the same time, here array 1, just pass array 1, that is the same time, right? So whatever, you can say that when you will be adding these all values, you will be getting 690 only, right? So that is the same thing, no? Okay. Fine. Next, we have indexing and slicing operations. So indexing and slicing, indexing is, let's say if you want to access one element, or slicing if you want to access multiple elements together. So using indexing, let's say if you want to access the element, let's say we have this array 1, okay, and we want to access 42 here. How we can do that? So we will be writing here So in this you can write the row index and the then column index. So what is the row index of this 42? So this is index, the index of this row is 0, index of this row is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4, right? Index always starts from 0. Okay, so first you'll be passing the row index. When you'll be passing 1, it is going to give you this 41 42, means second row. Okay, and you want to access, in this you want to access second column, so 0 and 1, so you'll be writing here again 1. This is going to give you 42. Clear? Fine. So if you want to access any element inside an array, you have to give the row and column index, one single element. Okay, if you want to access a row, okay, accessing a row, then what you can do, so let's say if you want to access this row, then what you can write, you can write here array1 of index of this row. What is the index of this row? 0 1 and 2, so you'll be writing here 2. Execute it, you'll be getting this one, this row you are getting, correct? Let's say if you want to access a column, let's say this column, accessing a column, how you can do that? Accessing a column, so you cannot access the column directly. For accessing the column, first you have to do the row slicing, because accessing the column means, let's say 38 42 34 30 and 26, these all values you want to access, right? If you want to access these all values, it means you want to access all the rows. To access all the rows, you have to first do the row slicing. This will be giving you the whole array, right? Now after this you want this column, right, 38 to 26, so you'll be writing the column number 1. This is going to give you 41 to 44. You can see here, sorry, it is giving no, let me write here 1. Okay, so it is giving you this column 38 to 26, right? 38 to 26. Clear? It has accessed the column. Clear, everyone? Any question in this? So how we have accessed the element? Now let's say someone has asked me that if you want to change the value, so I'll be taking one array. You guys let me know that how you can change the value. I want to access mango, sorry, banana, jackfruit, strawberry, and blueberry. Banana, jackfruit, strawberry, and blueberry. These values I want to access from the fruit array. This is the fruit array. I want to access banana, jackfruit, strawberry, and blueberry. How can I access this? So see, this is not in a particular order, right? You cannot do indexing. You cannot perform the slicing operation here. So what you can do, you can write here row underscore index is equal to, you can pass the you can write the row indexes of all these values. What is the row index of banana? It is 0. So we'll be writing 0 comma. What is the row index of jackfruit and strawberry? It is 1 comma 1. What is the row index of blueberry? It is 2, right? So you have taken the row index of all the values. Then you want the column index, right? Column index. What is the column index of banana? It is 1. Okay. What is the column index of jackfruit? Sorry, banana is 0. Column index is 0. Then what is the column index of jackfruit and strawberry? 1 and 3, right? So you'll be writing 1 and 3. What is the column index of blueberry? It is 2. This is correct. Okay. Now let me see how you can access the element. So you can write fruit of row underscore index and here comma column underscore index. Execute it. You are getting all those values. Okay. Clear? Yes, you can do the sort and all the operation will be coming to that. Don't worry. Okay. As of now, we are doing the accessing of the element. So we have accessed the element by checking the row index and column index, right? Taking the row index and column index and passing it. Then we are able to access. So how it access the values? So in the fruit, it will be going to 0 row and 0 column. 0 row and 0 column is what? Banana. It is giving you banana. Then it will be taking 1 row and 1 column. 1 row and 1 column is what? This is 1 row and this is 1 column. Jackfruit is the value. Okay. Then you have 1 row and 3 columns. So 1 row and 3 column is strawberry. Then we have 2 row and 2 columns. So this is 2 row and 2 column is blueberry, right? So we have got all these values. Now let's say if you want to replace these values, let's say I want to replace these all values with the watermelon. Okay. So now executing this will be replacing the values into this location. So let me remove this. So now if you'll be printing fruit, so you'll see that in all these places it is replaced with watermelon. Clear? Fine, everyone. Is this clear, guys? Any question? Okay, so now we have seen that how we can access the rows, how we can access the columns. There are a few other ways. So here we have used this comparison operation, right? So this is one way of accessing the element. You can use this operation to access the element. For example, let's say I want the arrays where the value is greater than a specific value, right? Or let's say we have this array one, right? What is array one? Array one is this array. Now I want to access only those elements where the value is greater than let's say 45. I want to access only those elements where the value is greater than 35. Sorry, 45. So first of all, if you'll be writing greater than 45, then it is going to give you a Boolean matrix, right? Clear? Array one greater than 45. All values are less than 45. Okay, so let me write 35. Okay, so we have few values true, few values false. What we can understand from this, that array 1 greater than 35, in this we have these values which are greater than 35 and these values which are less than 35. Now what we can do, we can pass this inside the array 1, this condition, this Boolean matrix we are passing to array 1. Wherever you have the true values, these values will be accessed. Okay, so you can get easily which all values are greater than 35, right? Clear, everyone? Yashwant, is it clear? How we use this comparison operator to get the values which are greater than 35. No, for a large index you will not be doing. So for a large index you are not going to this kind of operation. I'm just showing you that how you can do that. There are many other ways you will be doing these operations. So when you will be taking the large data set, then it will be clear. Okay. Okay. So array 1 greater than 35, what it is going to give? Array 1 greater than 35, it is going to give you a Boolean matrix. Okay, this you understood, right? What this is going to give? This is going to give you a Boolean matrix where the values are greater than 35, right? Now you are passing this Boolean matrix to the array 1 as the index. So wherever you have the true value inside the array 1 at whatever index, those values will be accessed. So if you will print array 1, so see here, in wherever you have true, here you have true 37 and 40. So 37 and 40 you have all those values. Then 41 to 44, all those values are true. So 41 to 44, this value is true. Then you have this 36 is true, right? So here you have true and this 36 is true. 36 is also added. Rest all values are less than 35, right? Or not greater than 35. So these values are not accessed because you have the false here, right? So you can pass a Boolean matrix for accessing the values or for doing the indexing. Clear? Fine, everyone. So Yashwant, is it clear? Okay. So now we have seen how we can perform the indexing operation. Let's say similarly, let's say if you want to find the values which are okay, so the count, basically you want to find the count, finding the total count of values which are greater than 35. How you can do that? You have the different function, but using this indexing and all operation, how you can do that? You have np dot sum, and here you can write array 1 greater than 35. Okay. You have our YouTube channel, Ayush. There we upload the videos. If you'll find our YouTube videos, these things are available there. And my classes are in detail. Like if you will find my recordings on YouTube channel, these things I have discussed it in detail over there. Okay, so here also I'm trying to discuss as many as concepts possible. Let's see if time permits tomorrow. Whatever topics are left or whatever doubts you have, I'll be taking the question on that. Just give me 2 more minutes and then I'll start taking the question from you guys. Okay, So np dot sum array 1 greater than 35. What I'm doing? So array 1 greater than 35 is going to give you what? This Boolean matrix. Now you are passing this to np dot sum function. Np dot sum function, it counts the total number of true values. It is going to count total number of true values. How many true values you have? 4 plus 4 plus 1, total 9 values. So it is going to give you 9. It means total 9 values are there which are greater than 35. So you can easily do this. Okay, fine. So these all things are used into the data analysis.